WWE Over the Limit 2012 pay-per-view review. The pay-per-view swung up there a little while ago. As far as my thoughts on this show, I actually got to say it wasn't a bad show when you consider some of the things on the show. Now, the main event was god-awful and terrible, just like everyone would expect. John Laurinaitis and John Cena, I don't think anyone was expecting it to be, a stellar match. People knew what they were getting with it. I can't really, go after WWE with that match as far as match quality. The thing I really can go after WWE is deciding to have that main event your pay-per-view. I mean, that was the worst decision WWE could have made, was that to be your main event of a pay-per-view. If you would have had, CM Punk and Daniel Bryan main event the pay-per-view, the crowd would have went home happy, and people would have probably, some people that even though they loved CM Punk and Daniel Bryan's match, a lot of people are going to rag on this show because of the main event, so it really brought the show down a bit with that being the main event. So it was poor booking decisions for WWE to have that as the main event, even though I know going in it was the main focus of Raw, but no one cared about seeing that match. This was not, the Attitude Era where everyone really cared about seeing, Stone Cold Steve Austin and Vince McMahon. That was something that was intriguing. Fans, wanted to go out their way to see it, and it was booked, so well. This John Cena and John Laurinaitis, no one can give two shits about. But you had two great world title matches on here. Really enjoyed the Fatal 4-Way for the World Heavyweight Championship, and CM Punk and Daniel Bryan, delivered to my expectations. It was a great match, easily match of the night, and really enjoyed it a lot. And then the other thing was they added a battle royal basically at the last minute of this pay-per-view, and whoever won that got to take on, at his choosing, either United States Champion Santino Marella or the Intercontinental Champion Cody Rhodes. Christian won that, and we got to see Cody Rhodes and Christian, which actually wasn't a bad match. It was fairly good. Really, the thing I liked about it the most was Christian winning the Intercontinental Championship. Even though I am a fan of Cody Rhodes, I'm just glad that Christian, returned, and now he's Intercontinental Champion. So maybe they can do some really good things with, with a feud with Cody Rhodes and Christian for the Intercontinental Championship. So let me get into my review. The opening match was they did another pre-show match. It's apparently what WWE's starting to do, starting with WrestleMania this year. The pre-show match was Kane versus Zack Ryder. If this was several months ago, people would have probably cared about it, but at this point, no one cares about it, and they've completely jobbed Zack Ryder out. So it's just Kane going out there and squashing Zack Ryder. That's what it was. Ryder got into offense, but Kane ended up choke slamming him for the victory. So Kane won the match, about 1 3/4 stars. Then the opening matchup at the end of the pre-show, going into the pay-per-view, everyone that was coming out for the Battle Royal was just coming out to the ring with separate ring entrances. Then at the beginning of the pay-per-view, you saw everyone in the ring for the Battle Royal. Actually, it wasn't a bad Battle Royal. You saw some decent things in there. Obviously, with Battle Royal, you have a big guy like Khali. He eliminates a number of people in there. You saw some decent things in it. Then Christian ended up winning the Battle Royal, which was, I'm glad that he won it. And obviously, you could tell he was going to win it since he was one of the last people coming out there to the ring, and the commentators made a big deal about him returning. So you knew he was going to win this. It was decent for what it was, about 2 1/4 stars. Then the next matchup was Jack Swagger and Dolph Ziggler versus Kofi Kingston and R-Truth for the Tag Team Championships. What I can say about this match was when you had Dolph Ziggler in there for most of the time, you saw incredible stuff. I really enjoyed the stuff that Dolph Ziggler and Kofi Kingston did. R-Truth did some good stuff in here. It was just Jack Swagger really, took this match down. He was the one that hurt it. And actually, Swagger's not that bad of a wrestler, and he just did not do good in this match. It's kind of like, they're wasting Dolph Ziggler here, him in this tag team, when Dolph Ziggler, in my opinion, should be, contending in the main event, either for the WWE Championship or the World Heavyweight Championship. They definitely could do it on SmackDown with him, contending for the World Heavyweight Championship instead of doing this tag team. But it wasn't. It was good for what it was. When I said when you saw Ziggler and Kofi Kingston there, it was just classic. I loved seeing them two against each other. Swagger kind of took it down a bit. R-Truth did his things. Kofi Kingston and R-Truth win after Kofi Kingston hits the Trouble in Paradise to Dolph Ziggler in this match. About 2 1/4 stars. Match wasn't that bad. Then the next matchup was Beth Phoenix versus Layla for the Divas title. More or less just your typical Divas match. Nothing too special. It looks like, at the end of the match that Beth Phoenix was going to pick up the victory with the Glam Slam. Layla reversed that into a roll through. Looked like she was going to pick up the victory there. Beth Phoenix kicked out. Then at the end of the match, Layla hit the neck breaker onto Beth Phoenix, and Layla retained the Divas Championship in about a 1.5 star match. Just what you would expect from a Divas match. And they're really, should be doing something great with the Divas Championship. They should be having, Beth Phoenix as the Divas Champion and bring Karma in there and have them two feud against each other. That's what everyone wants to see, and that's what you got the crowd chanting in this match. We want Karma, but apparently from some sources are saying that Creative is claiming they don't have anything for Karma, yet your crowd's wanting to see her, which is terrible booking their events. Then the next matchup was the Fatal 4-Way for the World Heavyweight Championship. This was Alberto Del Rio versus Chris Jericho versus Randy Orton versus Sheamus. This was really entertaining. I liked it a lot. Sheamus and Orton have very good chemistry. Jericho got in his stuff. Alberto looked very well in here. Just a really entertaining match. Everyone got in their stuff. Just really enjoyed it. Then Sheamus ends up picking a victory up in this match, pinning Chris Jericho. 3 and 3/4 star match. One match I would definitely recommend people to check out. You definitely need to see this Fatal 4-Way match. Other than, obviously, the WWE Championship, this was the second best match of the night. Next matchup, this was a match they just added. This was The Miz and Brotus Clay. No one cared about this, and they just continue going with this thing, which I hope it has some reasoning behind it and some conclusion to it. But, The Miz is jobbed out yet again. Brotus Clay beats him here. So I'm hoping they go with some angle here where they at least make up for doing all this stuff to The Miz where he keeps losing and losing. I hope it actually has some reasoning behind it when we look back at it at some time, in the next couple months. But if they don't, it's terrible that they're doing this with The Miz and jobbing him out as bad as they are. Match-wise, what you expect with the Brotus Clay match, 1 star at best, probably, maybe 1 and 1/4 stars. Then the next matchup was Cody Rhodes and Christian. Christian won this by winning the Battle Royal. Originally, Christian, after he won the Battle Royal, he was going to say he was going to take on the United States champion. Santino changed his mind to take on Cody Rhodes for the Intercontinental Championship. Had a fairly good match. You saw some good back and forth action with them. And then Christian ends up hitting the kill switch to win the Intercontinental Championship here. About a 3-star match. Solid match. Enjoyed it, and glad that Christian is the IC champion. Then the next matchup was the Daniel Bryan versus CM Punk match for the WWE Championship. This was a great match. Easily match of the night. Easily a match you could say is a match of the year contender. Obviously one of WWE's best matches so far this year. Just enjoyed it a lot. It was a technically sound match, good mat wrestling, good back and forth action. It was just, these two obviously have, very good chemistry with each other. They didn't actually wrestle each other on the independent scene as much as probably people would have expected them to. But this was a hell of a match. I never would have thought, seeing Daniel Bryan, when he was Bryan Danielson in Ring of Honor and CM Punk in Ring of Honor and on the independent scene, I never would have thought to the day that I would have ever seen them two in WWE actually being used right in a WWE Championship match against each other. So that was just a great moment there. But it was an excellent match. Good counters and reversals. Just everything was crisp about this match. Enjoyed it a whole lot. Easily match of the night. And the end of the match comes when CM Punk was in the yes lock from Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan, then CM Punk rolls out of it into a backslide for the pin. And after he basically gets the 3 count where he retains the championship, he taps. So Daniel Bryan's kind of playing it off after the match that, hey, I didn't lose this. He tapped out before I did. So obviously with them playing that off after the match that, it looked like CM Punk tapped out before, which he tapped out after the 3 count. Obviously, we'll be seeing these two in another match against each other, which I'm really hoping that this is going to be like a very long summer feud. Maybe we'll see, these two, take on each other at SummerSlam for the WWE Championship. I would love to see that happen. Hopefully it does. Match-wise, I give it about 4.5 stars. Enjoyed it a hell of a lot. Great match. Then after that match, the rest of the show, I don't think anyone cared about. Then they did a match they just basically added to cut some time for the end of the show. They did a match with Ryback squashing forgot what his name was. Camacho, the guy with Hunico, Ryback defeats him. Wasn't a complete squash because Ryback did actually take a few things in the match, but just your typical Ryback match, nothing special. Ryback wins it, 1 star at best. Then the main event was the thing everyone knew going in the show was going to be horrendous, terrible, and no one cared about seeing this with John Cena and John Laurinaitis. It was the match everyone expected. Like I said, I can't really, rag on WWE for the match quality because who expected John Laurinaitis and John Cena to be good? The only problem I have with this match, and I think everyone that's going to be complaining about this match and some of this pay-per-view, is that this should not have been the main event. Daniel Bryan and CM Punk should have been the main event. People would have been going home saying, man, I love that match that ended the show. But then people, that watch the show, their last thing they think of is how bad John Cena and John Laurinaitis was. It was predictable. You knew what was going to happen. Big Show came out there. John Laurinaitis was trying to get out of their arena. You saw Big Show pulling him to the ring. Obviously, you knew what was going to happen here. He looked like he was going to choke slam John Laurinaitis. John Laurinaitis pleading him not to do it. Big Show threw him to John Cena. John Cena looked like he was going to hit the attitude adjustment. Big Show hits the KO punch. You knew he was going to turn and help John Laurinaitis win this match. Just very predictable, and I think everyone knew Big Show was coming out here to do this. As far as match quality, it's one of those matches. At best maybe like 1.5 stars, maybe 1 star, probably 1 star at best, or NA. It was just god awful and terrible. Definitely, there's things on this pay-per-view that I would recommend people to see. Since the main event was as bad as what it was, you had some things on the undercard as bad. I can't, give this a complete passing grade, but considering how great the Daniel Bryan match was with CM Punk and the Fatal 4-Way match, the 2 matches I think everyone was expecting to be good turned out to be good. So it was more or less a 2-match show, and then you saw Christian win the Intercontinental Championship. So those things were good. So I would probably give, since the Daniel Bryan match was so good, the World Title match was so good, I would probably still give the show about 7.5 out of 10. I know some people probably going to say that's being a little too generous considering how terrible the main event was, but you had those 2 matches that were so good. I have to at least give it a 7.5 out of 10. And I think everyone knew the Laurinaitis and Cena match was going to be as bad as what it was. People probably would have not said it was as bad as what it was if it was placed better on the show. If you switched up the WWE Championship or the WWE Championship with Laurinaitis' match, people would have probably not, really railed against that match as much as they did, considering it wouldn't have been the main event. But since it was the main event, that was a huge problem right there. So 2 matches were great on here. The IC title match was fairly good. Main event was terrible like you expected. So, like I said, I give the show still a 7.5 out of 10 because there were things I enjoyed on here. Yeah, that's it for my WWE Over the Limit 2012 pay-per-view review. All right, peace.